Tonight, student associations' funds may be in jeopardy. Students on campus are reacting to potential consequences.
New York State officials buckle up to take on the coronavirus. More on what state and local officials are doing to fight the virus.
And SUNY Oswego cancels all abroad trips set to take place over spring break. The latest information to come.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10's Nightly News. I'm Danny Hernandez.
And I'm Deanna Brown. Governor Andrew Cuomo confirms an additional 5 cases of the coronavirus in Westchester County, bringing the state's total to 11. With confirmed cases on the rise, local officials, including Mayor Barlow, addressed the public this morning to reassure the city is prepared for the virus. According to Pal Times, Billy Barlow says there are increased stocking and availability of disinfectant spray and hand sanitizers in city buildings.
An amendment to the city's employee leave policy was also created, making unlimited sick days available to any city employees diagnosed with the virus. The Oswego City Police and Fire Department are also stockpiling on masks and additional protective items.
The coronavirus epidemic is taking a toll on study abroad programs across the country, including here at SUNY Oswego, as an international education program released an email canceling all abroad programs for the upcoming spring break. Our Matthews Frank talked to a student who was supposed to go to Paris in 2 weeks.
The coronavirus is one of the most deadliest viruses out at the moment, and SUNY Oswego is taking steps to make sure nobody is infected by canceling the study abroad trips during spring break. The news came through an email as the Associate Provost for International Education and Programs wrote to students letting them know what's going on. A freshman at SUNY Oswego named Tiffany Osei was scheduled to go on a trip to Paris during spring break, but the school canceled it and told her they'll reschedule or give her refund.
I was looking forward to this trip. However, I respect the school's decision in canceling this abroad trip. I feel like they're more focused on the safety of the students, and that's all that matters.
The virus is spreading rapidly across the globe, affecting thousands of people and threatening their lives. The virus has recently spread to New York City, which worries Tiffany as she now heads home for spring break.
I definitely have fears towards the virus. However, I'm from the city, so I've heard there's cases also in the city. So I feel like wherever I go, there's the risk.
The trip is rescheduled to be taking place in May if the virus is eventually prevented from spreading. SUNY Oswego is doing the best they can to keep all students healthy and safe to further their education and careers.
My opinion on the coronavirus, personally, I'm not too educated on the situation. I feel like I'm still confused, but I definitely respect the fact that they're still focused on our safety at the end of the day.
She's taken the news of the cancellation lightly, but hopes to eventually go on the trip.
Essentially, I'm not as mad as I thought I would be. It is disappointing, but I just hope that I will be able to take on this opportunity in the near future.
I'm Matthews Frank reporting to you from WTOP 10 Nightly News.
SUNY officials are working on rescheduling the travel program dates to a later date after the semester ends. The timing depends on student availability as well as faculty and the logistics of rebooking for trips.
The SUNY Oswego Student Association may be cutting the budget for a majority of clubs on the campus with the removal of the student activity fee. A couple of weeks ago, SA President Takina Strachan reminded senators the organization is in debt and the organization must make sustainable financial decisions. Many Oswego students are concerned with the new budget cuts and they could affect their future clubs.
I feel like it would be really detrimental to the student activities on campus and the campus life if we were to cut all of the budgets in half.
We have trips that we try to take our students on to help them get more equipped to their careers and their futures. So cutting that budget is going to cut our students having that opportunity to figure out what they want to do.
Just vote yes. I mean, that's all you got to do. The budgets are already low as it is, and the organizations are really such a key part of student life on campus. So you got to vote yes.
Voting on the budget will begin at 8 a.m. next Thursday, March 12th, and ends at 5 p.m. Friday, March 13th, just before spring break.
Over 3,500 people did not have power due to a transformer explosion in the Manillas area. The explosion took place this afternoon after a 911 caller says they did not have power after hearing the boom. Fayetteville Manillas High School also let students leave early due to the power outage around 1 p.m. According to National Grid, power came back to all affected about an hour later.
Destiny Mall will be getting its first UNTUCK store this spring. The chain currently has over 80 stores in North America. The store specializes in shirts which are untucked when wearing them. The store offers items such as polos, t-shirts, sweaters, and sports jackets. This will be the chain's first location in upstate New York.
The New York State Senate approved a bill requiring everyone to wear a seatbelt while riding in the back of a car. The bill will go to Governor Andrew Cuomo for final approval. Currently, the law only requires passengers 16 and older to wear a seatbelt if they are in front seat. In the past decade, AAA says nearly 300 people have been killed due to not wearing a seatbelt in the back seat.
New York State Police are searching for a missing man with Alzheimer's. According to the state troopers, 77-year-old Robert Shield has gone missing and is in need of medical attention. This morning, state troopers were informed Shield may be in the Binghamton area making his way to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina in his gray Nissan Rouge. His car's registration is GEM 1426. Shield is a white male about 5 feet and 8 inches. If you think you have any information, call the New York State Police.
Kingston, New York chef Albert Bartley has been nominated as a semifinalist in the Best Chef in New York State contest. Bartley, who is a co-owner of a small Jamaican-style restaurant in Midtown who specializes in jerk chicken, is one of 20 semifinalists and one of 4 from outside New York City. Finalists will be announced March 25th.
Coming up later on tonight, more of Michael Bloomberg's decision to drop out of the 2020 presidential primaries.
And the devastating tornado destroying some parts of Tennessee. We'll take a peek at some of the relief efforts throughout the state.
And now let's take a quick look at what the weather with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Joe Champagne.
Good Wednesday evening, everyone. We do have cloudy conditions around the area. Here in Fulton, we're sitting at 34 degrees. Feels like temperature right at 34 degrees with that west wind at 6 miles per hour. Going a little bit further south into the Syracuse area. Again, keep in mind those cloudy conditions are locked into the region. Temperatures right around that freezing point. Current satellite and radar showing we do have scattered rain and mixture of snow showers working through central New York. Those will begin to diminish as we go through the overnight hours and into your morning commute tomorrow. And a quick look at your current winds across the region. A bit gusty along the lakeshore at west, 18 miles per hour here in Oswego, but gradually diminishing in strength as you go inland. In Phoenix, we have calm conditions, and Fairhaven, a wind at 8 miles per hour. Coming up after the break, I will have your full forecast on what you can expect for your tomorrow.
Back to WTOP 10's Nightly News. Michael Bloomberg abruptly ended his presidential campaign. So Joe, the weather's been a little all over the place. We got little hits of spring, but we also have bits of snow. Any comments?
Yeah, that is typically what we see going into the spring months, a fluctuation with temperatures and precipitation really battling between that rain and snow mixture, and that will continue over the next few weeks actually until we get into the full swing of spring and into the March of April, and then eventually by May we will be well out of the temperatures where we could see snow. Current satellite and radar again showing a mixture of rain and snow showers moving across central New York as a cold front begins to slide southeast through the region. It was a little bit more widespread, but as the evening will progress on, those scattered shower activities will begin to decrease across the region. Temperatures across the region now, again, in anywhere from the low to mid 30s. We have 36 degrees here in Oswego, 34 in Fulton. So again, with that northwest wind, temperatures will be on the decrease through the overnight hours. And looking at the regional forecast here, temperatures right around the middle 30s, a few lower 30s back toward Olean and Jamestown. There, temperatures below freezing, and that will be the trend going into tonight. Because a cold front is coming through, temperatures are going to dip right around that freezing mark here. Fairhaven and Oswego right around that 32 degrees mark. So any precipitation that will fall now will begin to freeze on contact going into tomorrow morning for your morning commute. So here we have a scrape cast for you. As temperatures begin to plummet, again, you may need a little bit extra time getting that coating of ice off the window. It's not going to be anything significant. We're not going to be dropping into a deep plunge or anything like that for tomorrow. Timing out your future cast going into the overnight hours tonight, again, precipitation will begin to back off across the region. Temperatures holding steady in the mid to upper 30s. Going into the morning hours on Thursday, again, temperatures going to be decreasing to right around that freezing point there. And that cloud cover will be locked in for us. Precipitation by this time should generally be out of the region. And then by the lunch hour, we're going to be warming up a little bit to around 34 degrees here in Oswego. Everywhere else in the upper 30s, a bit inland, those temperatures will climb a little bit higher there for you. And then going into your evening rush, For Thursday, temperatures lowering a little bit here inland around 35 degrees. Again, keep an eye on that cloud cover. Temperatures right around 35, and the cloud conditions will be there for us. Going into the overnight hours on Friday, temperatures begin to decrease again. And then our next chance of precipitation will be back into the picture Friday morning and into Friday's commute for the afternoon, again, as our next system begins to push in. Looking at our current wind gust across the region, again, another significant story because that cold front is sliding through. Here we have 20 miles per hour here in Oswego, and it's going to be fairly breezy across all of the region here until we get into Thursday afternoon. Then the winds will really begin to calm down here, 10 miles per hour, pretty much anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour across the region, and then those will be ramping up a little bit on Friday, but nothing we can't handle here in the North Country. Wrapping up here with your 7-day forecast, we're going to be having a dry day tomorrow. Our next system pushes in on Friday. For your weekend, we're going to be warming up, and then by Monday, look at that, 52 degrees. So temperatures on the rise for sure. Coming up after the break, I'll have your full forecast. Coming after the break, more news and sports.
Welcome back to WTOP 10's Nightly News. Michael Bloomberg abruptly ended his presidential campaign Wednesday morning and endorsed Joe Biden. The billionaire says that he agrees with Biden on many key issues. Those include gun safety, healthcare, climate change, and creating good jobs. Bloomberg says he will now help Biden defeat President Trump. Even with the over $500 million spent on television and digital, Bloomberg was not able to overcome the operation and organization of Biden and Bernie Sanders. Bloomberg exits the race after a disappointing show on Super Tuesday that he left with only a single victory, America Samoa.
Former Vice President Joe Biden had Super Tuesday, and Senator Bernie Sanders didn't do too shabby either. Both presidential hopefuls picked up a lot of pledged delegates, and John Larink reports.
Joe Biden scores big on Super Tuesday.
So I'm here to report we are very much alive.
The former vice president is projected to win the most Super Tuesday states, including Texas, and says he'll strive to bring bipartisanship back to Washington.
We can't have a never-ending war between the parties. We need a president who can fight, but make no mistake about I can fight, but look, we need as badly, someone who can heal.
Senator Bernie Sanders also collected a healthy amount of delegates Tuesday and says he's not backing down to Biden.
I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination.
Or anyone else.
And we are going to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country.
Senator Elizabeth Warren's campaign is struggling. She even lost her home state of Massachusetts to Biden.
Cast a vote from your heart and vote for the person you think will make the best president of the United States of America.
Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg doesn't leave Super Tuesday empty-handed. He won American Samoa.
In just 3 months, we've gone from 1% of the polls to being a contender for the Democratic nomination for president.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
President Trump also collected delegates on Super Tuesday. His lone long-shot competitor, former Governor Bill Weld, is posing no threat to the Republican nomination.
Texas voters experienced long waits at some polling centers last night. In the last decade, the state has shut down hundreds of polling sites, contributing to long lines at some of the remaining locations. A spokesperson for the Texas Secretary of State office says as long as the voters were in line by the time the polls closed, they would be allowed to vote. One man made the line before polls closed in Houston, but he says it was early Wednesday morning by the time he was able to cast a vote in the Democratic nominating process.
We waited for about 6 hours. About 6 hours, a little bit over 6 hours.
So you got here just before the polls closed.
Right.
It is well after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Why did you wait this long to vote?
Because I figured like it was my duty to vote. I want to get my vote in, to voice my opinion, and I wasn't going to let nothing stop me. So I waited it out.
Rogers was the last person to cast a ballot at his voting center, Texas Southern University in Houston. He says he wasn't upset by the long wait, but that he thought the process could have gone smoother.
The death toll is rising in Tennessee as the search for missing people expands after deadly storm struck the state on Tuesday. At least 24 people have been killed and hundreds of homes and businesses have been devastated. Camilla Burnell is in Putnam County, Tennessee with the latest.
Tennessee remains under a state of emergency.
I thought for sure that it was just going to take the whole house up.
This after the deadliest day of tornadoes in 7 years.
I've never been more terrified in my life.
As the storms have passed, the recovery efforts are now getting underway.
Now we're in the transition from yesterday's emergency to recovery. The next phase will be rebuilding.
Officials are working to get an accurate picture of the lives lost and the damage done.
In terms of infrastructure, this has been the most devastating storm of my career.
The storms have left tens of thousands of residents in the dark, and emergency utility crews are now working around the clock to restore the power.
Our field resources will be working 14-hour days, 14 hours on, 14 hours off, 24/7, until we get power restored to all that can accept power.
It's unclear how many tornadoes swept across the region, but an initial survey of the damage indicates at least one tornado in the East Nashville area was an EF3. Yet despite the tragedy, an outpouring of support raising spirits.
Oh, what a city. I mean, I've never been so inspired in the areas of greatest devastation. People's attitude was the strongest.
In Putnam County, Tennessee, I'm Camila Burnell reporting.
Those who wish to help the tornado victims in Tennessee can donate to the American Red Cross or the Community Foundation's Middle Tennessee Emergency Response Fund.
Dennis Doucette says it's been more than a week since stores in his area had toilet paper. He shared these photos from 2 drugstores and a large grocery store in Kobe, Japan over Facebook. He tells CNN, every day after work I go to about 4 different large drugstores / supermarkets / DIY stores. Have tried a lot of places but zero TP. He can't buy any masks or hand sanitizers, lotions, or paper towels. They've now put a 1-package only limit on products such as feminine napkins, diapers, bars of hand soap, facial tissues, etc. He also notes he's seen segments on local news about people stealing toilet paper from the public bathrooms.
A press conference with the organizing committee for the Tokyo Olympics assures all necessary steps to prevent the spread of the coronavirus among runners, spectators, and staff. The Olympic relay begins on March 20th, and the group says they would make considerations based on the status of infection in the prefectures where each leg is being run. Yesterday, Japan's minister for the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games, Seiko Hashimoto, says the Tokyo 2020 Games could be postponed until later this year. She was responding to a question from an opposition party member about the possibility of postponing the 2020 Olympics. As of today, Tokyo 2020 will begin on July 24th.
Coming up in sports, Mike Morano.
Mike, can you give us a quick preview?
Thanks, guys. Coming up in sports, we had a packed day yesterday in hockey as the men's and women's teams played in the SUNYAC semifinal. And Tom Brady's still looming over NFL free agency. See what he had to say when we come back on WTOP 10 Nightly News. Filled Tuesday as the men's and women's ice hockey team won their respective games in the SUNYAC semifinal. The women beat Morrisville by a score of 1-0. That will take them to Plattsburgh in the SUNYAC championship game this Saturday at 3 p.m. The men also took care of business, beating Plattsburgh by a score of 4-1. The men's team will travel to take on Geneseo in the SUNYAC championship. Moving over to basketball, senior Joe Sullivan and freshman Jeremiah Sparks have been recognized by the State University of New York Athletic Conference for the 2019-2020 season. Sullivan has been named first team all-conference, while Sparks has earned third team. Joe Sullivan led Oswego in total points and rebounds by also scoring his 1,000th point this season. Jeremiah Sparks was second in points and rebounds as Oswego in his rookie year. He also tied for most team steals and second with blocks. Heading over to football, after enjoying his time in Syracuse, Tom Brady still has some decisions to make. Tom was recently on Instagram Live with UFC owner Dana White, and he expressed that he doesn't know what the future holds. He says, right now, I'm just trying to be patient through this process. It's my first time going through it. It is rumored that 8 teams have various interests with the 6-time Super Bowl champ, with 4 teams claiming that they would sign him right now. And moving over to NHL, newly signed Chris Kreider of the New York Rangers is out 4 to 6 weeks after sustaining a fractured ankle on February 28th. Although Kreider was involved in trade talks during the trade deadline, he re-signed with the Rangers for $6.5 million for the next 7 years. Pretty good gig. General Manager Jeff Gorton expressed that he won't rush his injury. The Rangers are currently 4 points behind the second wildcard spot in the playoff race. And we had a crazy one here in Boston as the Brooklyn Nets took on the Boston Celtics, and Celtics took over pretty early. See Jaylen Brown taking this ball from Joe Harris. He's not going to slam it. He's going to 360 slam it. Jaylen Brown, you bad man. Celtics still taking over here. Nets, Jarrett Allen with the rebound. Passes over to LeVert. LeVert back to Allen. Allen with the slam. No, he got blocked by Marcus Smart. Access denied. Marcus Smart with the huge block. He says, not today, big fella. But Caris LeVert soon takes over. Fourth quarter gets that one. Nets down by 10. LeVert again gets to 3. Nets down by 7. LeVert, top of the key, gets that one. LeVert, now the Nets down by 5. LeVert with a last-second heave, and he's going to make that one. LeVert, please miss one. I beg of you. Now, with just time winding here, the Nets, 1.4 seconds left, looking for a miracle, and they get it. LeVert will take 3 free throws here with 0.2 seconds left to send the Nets to overtime. And in overtime, a lot of the same story. LeVert taking over, and he just simply wouldn't miss tonight with the last shot here with the icing on the cake to put the Nets over in overtime, beating this Boston Celtics by a score of 129 to 120. Caris LeVert with 51 points today and puts the Nets in the 7th seed.
That's crazy. I'm still looking at the 360 jump. That doesn't even seem real to me. It's crazy, but yeah. So, Joe, any advice for the upcoming weather?
I think it's going to be fairly quiet over the next few days. We do have a system coming in on Friday, bringing in some rain and snow, but that's not going to be anything like major to worry about. So as we go into spring, we're going to have more events like this with a mixture of rain and snow. It's not going to be anything in the way of any major accumulation, though.
Yeah.
So I think we should be okay.
Definitely. Yeah. So that's our report for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned for It Is What It Is.
Thank you for watching and have a great night, everyone.